Hello, my name is Delaney Goodman, and this is for video submission number 4 for the Service Learning Project. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Question 1 asks about UNG preparing us for diverse students, and I do think that UNG prepared us for diverse students by teaching us, that we have to differentiate for all students, not just the low students, but also the high students, having high expectations for all students so that they can achieve more, even if they're already high, that they can achieve more, and that if they're lower, they can still achieve high standards, and that you just have to differentiate it to make it accessible to all students, no matter what their background is, the knowledge that they already have, their academic achievement, their interest. I do think that UNG really taught us from the very first class that we took, the lesson planning class, you have to differentiate for your students. And we've learned many different ways on how to differentiate. So I do feel that I was very prepared for that this year. In what areas have I grown the most this year? I would honestly say probably assessment strategies and uses I've grown the most in this year, because that was really something that we didn't really get to use junior year. We weren't really giving assessments, we did our case studies, but that was really it. So this year I was really able to dabble in assessment, both district-wide and my own forms of assessment. And I really learned I've learned that assessment should be part of every lesson. I have some form of assessment during every lesson, every single day, just to kind of show me where the kids are at. And that I've always known it could be formal or informal. However, I really have grown in my understanding of all the different ways to assess. And I would still like to grow more, but that's definitely a huge area I've grown in. And my ability to quickly analyze data without having to sit down and look at it and read all of them. I can quickly group kids based off of that data and know my next instructional moves already without really thinking about it. So that has definitely been a huge area that I've grown in. Something I wish that I would have known prior to entering the program. Really, there's not much I wish I would have known prior to entering the program. My only thing is I kind of wish I would have known that I needed to set aside time for myself and making sure that I'm okay, because I really did burn myself out right there at the beginning. I really wasn't giving myself time to breathe and, having one day for myself. So I wish if I would have gone back, I would have told myself that I needed that one day a week at least where I didn't do anything but focused on me, whether that was going to a park or going hiking or, just staying at home and taking a bath, whatever it was. I wish I would have realized that I should have done that from the very beginning of the year so that I didn't get burnt out, because it is important to take care of yourself, and things will always get done tomorrow. If it doesn't get done today, it'll get done tomorrow. And I really wish I would have realized that, because I definitely did burn myself out quite a bit in the beginning. But I learned, and now I set aside Saturdays for myself. What skills do I think I am still developing on? What could UNG have done to help develop these skills? So I think honestly, just as a first year teacher, classroom management, that's something that comes with practice. We took our one classroom management class and we've learned all these great strategies, but really it is figuring out what works for you and your class. There were so many great ideas that I had from that class that I went into this year, and I tried so many of them and a lot of them didn't work. So figuring out which ones work for me and which ones work for my students was a huge thing. And as I move to a school next year, it's going to be a different environment, different student demographics. While I've learned a lot this year, and I feel like my classroom management has grown so much this year. I have really difficult students in a really difficult area with really no support. And I have gone through so many different things and really figured out what works for me and my students this year. But as I move to another school, it's going to be that whole game of figuring out what works again. I know what works for me for the most part. There's going to be things that still aren't perfect that I might have to change up next year. But I do know what works for me mostly, but next year it's going to be figuring out what works for my students more. And I don't really know if that's something that UNG could help with, because, we had the classroom management class, but I just think that that's just something you learn. And I've heard a ton of teachers say that their first year teaching is so bad because of the classroom management, really figuring out what you want from your students, when you want it, how you want it. So I think that over the next like 2-3 years, I'm really going to grasp on to what I want as a teacher and how I want my students to function throughout the day. And I've already grown significantly in it, but I do think that I'm still developing in that area. And I look forward to seeing other teachers at this new school and hearing some of the things that they do, because I've definitely exhausted all of the support that I could get at this school and asking like different strategies for classroom management. But I do think that that's an area that I'm going to continue to grow in and I'm really excited about. What have I learned from this experience that will help me in the future? I mean, absolutely everything I've learned from this experience is going to help me in the future. I've learned how to lesson plan. I've learned how to look at the curriculum map and the planning. I've learned how to work on a team of people who aren't really supportive. I've learned how to be that person for people who needed somebody, even though they weren't that person for me. I really did just learn how to be a good teammate and pull my end even when other people weren't pulling theirs. But overall, I mean, I've learned that I'm there to love my students, and at the end of the day, there's going to be things I disagree with, and there's going to be people I disagree with and people who disagree with me, but I know that I'm there to take care of the students, and that's my job. To care for and love for the students and take care of them. And if I'm doing that, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's definitely something I will take with me in the future, because there's a lot of politics in teaching. There's a lot of people who don't like things that you do, things they do like that you do, and everyone's always going to have an opinion. But just knowing that you're doing the right thing for your students is something I will always take with me. What changes do I suggest for future TCRP candidates? I would definitely say, the distance thing, making sure that it's feasible for them. And I know that the classes have already, or the professors have already been changed as far as the science class that we had, and making sure that we're not having to attend synchronous meetings, or from what I've heard anyways, that has been addressed. But if it has not, I definitely think that having all the professors on board with the fact that it's really hard to meet synchronously when we all have different schedules, especially with people in Gwinnett, because their schedule is very different than Gainesville City and Hall County and Forsyth County. And they're driving pretty far usually. So just making sure that the professors are on the same page, as far as the fact that it's supposed to be asynchronous and it's not supposed to be synchronous classes would be a huge thing. And then honestly, if possible, probably not this year because everything's already planned out for next year, but I don't think that having 6 classes in the spring is really the best idea. I think that maybe even if there's an extra class in the summer or in the fall was really light, and I understand that it was light because we were getting into the field and we really needed to make sense of where we were, but it was so easy in the fall, it felt like, and then this spring has just flown by so fast and just absolutely killed some of us. I know myself, I've been very stressed out, and I'm still stressed out. I'm trying to finish up these last few weeks of classes, and here we are on week 16 already, and I have so many things due, and it's like, when do you get it done? It was a lot to manage this semester. I do think that the service learning project being this has been very helpful, but I do think that maybe taking one of the reading classes like the semester before, because they really weren't combined, even though we were told they were going to be combined, they didn't really go together. So maybe taking one in the fall and one in the spring would really lighten up that load, because those 2 classes have been a lot this semester. There's a lot of assignments for both of them. So I think my biggest suggestion would just be to put one of those reading classes in the fall, because having both of the reading classes is very content heavy this semester. And I just think that was in the best interest of everybody, because I know all of the seniors right now are struggling with getting all of the assignments done for both of those classes. But other than that, I think it's been a very successful year, and I'm happy to have been one of the guinea pigs. But thanks for all y'all done this semester, or this entire year, and I look forward to graduating. All right, bye.